I'll share with you my top 3 dividend stocks for 2021. Dividend investing can be a very good way of creating income sources and really make the compounding effect working for you. And if you'd like to see more videos like this one where I share some stocks that I like, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. That shows me you like to see more videos like this one, and that's the best way to support the channel. The first stock that I wanted to talk about is 3M. 3M is a company that sells a lot of things to individuals, but also companies. They operate in the healthcare industry, security, manufacturing, energy. They have a lot of brands under the name, and that's one of the things that I like about this company, because it's very diverse in itself. And a good example in 2020 was the COVID crisis. A lot of companies have been losing money because their income sources have been affected by the COVID. With 3M, some areas of their business model have taken a hit, it's true, but some other areas of their business model have actually been very productive during the COVID crisis. They've been providing masks, for example, and a lot of equipment to the healthcare industry. And they've actually been very productive in 2020. And by the way, for those who didn't know, 3M was actually called at first Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing Company, but became 3M later on. I like this stock because first of all, it's a dividend aristocrat, which means that they have increasingly been paying dividends for over 25 years. And if you want to learn more about dividend aristocrats, I really invite you to watch the video that I've made on the subject. And to be exact, with 3M, they have increasingly been paying dividends for 58 years, which also gives them, by the way, on top of the dividend aristocrat title, the Dividend King title, stocks that have increasingly been paying dividends for over 50 years. 3M pays out dividends, and they actually pay out dividends of $5.88 per share. It represents a dividend yield of 3.35%. It's definitely not the highest dividend yield that you can find in the market, but it's a very solid dividend, and there are very few probabilities of seeing 3M stud their dividends anytime soon, as they've been paying dividends for 58 years. Currently, 3M costs $176 per share, and looking at the historical prices, 3M is quite cheap compared to its highs back in 2017, where it was costing around $250 per share. The second stock that I wanted to talk about is Federal Realty Investment Trust. It's a real estate investment trust that invests in shopping centers in the northeastern United States, the mid-Atlantic states, California, and South Florida. And if you wonder why I talk about this stock and not, for example, Realty Income Corp that we saw in a previous video, which also is a real estate investment trust, well, it's simply because FRT pays better in terms of dividends. They pay an annual dividend of $4.24 per share, representing a yield of 4.67%. They've been increasing their dividends for 48 consecutive years. As 3M, they belong to the Dividend Aristocrat group. And any company that has been paying dividends for so long is actually quite reassuring, because you can expect that they will continue to pay out dividends, and not only pay dividends, but also increase the dividends over time. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about a third stock, and this stock is a bit different compared to the others, but I think it's a very, very good opportunity. And that stock is called Enterprise Products Partner. Said like this, it doesn't really mean anything, I know. It's an American midstream natural gas and crude oil pipeline company with headquarters in Houston, Texas. It has a dividend yield of 8.66%, representing a yield of $1.78 per share. And they have a very good dividend yield compared to FRT and 3M that we just saw before. And EPD doesn't belong to the Dividend Aristocrat group because they've only been paying and increasing their dividends over time for 20 consecutive years. Currently, EPD costs around $20 per share. So for anyone who's actually tight on budget and who'd like to benefit from a good dividend yield and not having to put too much money on the table, I think EPD is a very good middle ground, because you benefit from a very high dividend yield, you have low probabilities that the stock is going to stop paying dividends anytime soon. So you see that with EPD and its stock costing around $20 per share, you see that it's actually very affordable for a lot of people. And receiving a dividend yield of 8.66% for a $20 per share stock, well, I think it's a very good deal personally, and that's why it's one of my preferred stock for 2021. And my philosophy regarding the oil and gas industry is that as 2020 has been the worst year for the oil and gas industry overall, if a company managed to continue paying the shareholders during 2020, which is the worst crisis for the oil and gas industry, well, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to continue paying dividends over time. So I don't think that EPD is going to stop paying dividends anytime soon. And even if they do, well, at least I will have benefited from the dividend yield of 8.66% and will just sell my shares if they stop paying dividends. And if you have any stock that you'd like me to do a video on, please comment it below with the ticker so I can actually add it to my to-do video list. Please make good and informed decisions. I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime, I wish you all the best.